In the winter of 1959, a group of 9 experienced Russian hikers set out into the Ural Mountains and never returned. Now, search teams would later find their tents ripped apart from the inside, bodies scattered across the snow, and injuries so strange that seasoned investigators could not explain them even till this very day. So, what really happened? This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a very smart, brilliant engineering student and highly skilled trained outdoorsman. Now, with 8 other hikers, 7 men and 2 women, they embarked on what was supposed to be a challenging but very rewarding expedition through the Ural wilderness. Now, they documented everything. Photographs, made diary entries, even made jokes around the campfire. Their spirits were very high and their skills were unquestioned. Now, all 9 hikers were certified grade 2 trekkers working toward their grade 3 certification. Now, at that time, that was the highest available in the Soviet Union. On January 31st, they reached the base of a mountain that the local Mansi tribes called Kola Siekol, which translates ominously to Dead Mountain. On February 1st, heavy snow and decreasing visibility slowed their progress tremendously. Now, instead of turning back to safer ground, which one would typically do, the team made a very puzzling choice. They decided to set up camp on the slope of the mountain. Now, to this day, no one knows why they made that decision. They were only a short distance away from a forest that would have provided shelter from the wind and, for the most part, kept them safe. Now, still, they decided to pitch their tent, cooked a meal, and for reasons that we'll never fully understand, lived their last night. When the hikers didn't return on schedule, search teams were sent out to search for them. On February 26th, a rescue party discovered their tent. Now, what they found made no sense whatsoever. No sense at all. The tent wasn't collapsed. It wasn't blown over. It was slashed open from the inside as if the hikers fled in a panic. Now, there were footprints in the snow. Some footprints were barefoot and some were still in socks. They led downhill toward the forest. And then the footprints simply stopped. At the edge of the forest, searchers found the first 2 bodies. They were under a tall cedar tree. They were barefoot, wearing only their underwear, which was very bizarre, but you would think somebody was sleeping and left in a panic. Now, a small fire had been burned nearby and the branches above them were broken, suggesting that in their final moments, they really tried desperately to climb the tree, perhaps to look for something or potentially escape something. Now, 3 more bodies, including Dyatlov himself, were found between the tree and the tent, frozen in place as if they were crawling back to camp. Now, at this point, investigators assumed that the hikers died from hypothermia. A very logical conclusion or theory. But the remaining 4 bodies would shatter that theory completely. Now, this is where it becomes very, very strange and things just don't add up. 2 months later, after the snow thawed out, the final 4 hikers were found in a ravine. Now, their injuries were beyond anything rescuers expected and ever experienced or ever came across. One hiker had a crushed chest with damage similar to a high-speed car crash. Another had massive head trauma and yet no external skull fractures. Now, one woman was found missing her tongue, her eyes, and part of her lips. Even stranger, there were no signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds, and no traces that another person or animal was involved whatsoever. Their clothes, when tested, showed high levels of radiation, with injuries too severe to be caused by an avalanche and no evidence of an attack. Investigators were baffled. Rightfully so. The Soviet authorities closed the case quickly. Their official conclusion? A compelling natural force. Now, no explanation of what that force was. The files were stamped confidential and locked away so nobody could access them or see them. Now, This secrecy only fueled speculation and gave birth to decades of theories, even till this day. Now, over the years, dozens of explanations have been proposed. Here are the most prominent theories that have been proposed. One is an avalanche theory, the most official explanation today. The idea is that a small slab avalanche hit the tent, forcing the hikers to flee. But survivors of avalanches rarely run miles into the freezing dark without shoes, and the slope wasn't steep enough to produce that kind of avalanche. Number two, military testing. Some believe that the area was used for secret Soviet weapon experiments. Nighttime explosions or parachute mines could explain the panic, and including the radiation. But still, there's no direct evidence that that was the cause. Number three, infrasound panic. A scientific theory suggests that strong winds around the mountain created a rare sound frequency that induces fear, nausea, and even panic. Now, this could explain why the hikers ran from the tent, but still, it does not explain the crushing injuries. And number four, the Mansi people. Early investigators suspected the local Mansi tribe. So there were no signs of attack. The Mancini themselves, help the search. They were fully involved, trying to figure out what happened. So the theory that the Mansi people were involved was quickly dismissed. Number five, something else completely. UFO theories, Yeti theories, supernatural theories. They might sound far-fetched, but the lack of answers fuels them till this very day. And once again, how do you explain the missing tongue, lips, and everything else that they discovered? So the current leading theory among researchers is a combination of events. A sudden collapse of snow struck the tent. The hikers, thinking the entire slope was about to slide, cut their way out of the tent and decided to flee. Disoriented, freezing, and possibly injured, they became separated from one another. Some died from exposure. Others fell into the ravine, causing the massive internal injuries. It's logical, but not perfect. It still leaves unanswered questions, especially the radiation, the missing tongue, and why experienced hikers would camp on such a dangerous slope in the first place. More than 6 decades later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the world's most unsettling mysteries. 9 skilled hikers walked into the mountains, and what happened next has been debated longer than they have ever even lived. Now, were they victims of a natural disaster, a military cover-up, or something that we still can't even explain? Whatever the truth is, it's buried beneath the snow of the Ural Mountains, and it may never be uncovered. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and if you enjoy these type of stories, just the creepy, spooky, mysterious, unexplained events and phenomena, please consider subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one.